Hey doctors, I want to talk about a concept called the high-end boutique practice today. I'm just going to spend a moment talking about this and introducing it. You may have seen me post a lot about it recently on Facebook um, in regards to creating your own high-end boutique practice. And there's always a bit of confusion around that, I believe, or at least I've seen that so far based on some of the feedback. A high-end boutique practice is it's a vision, it's a mission, it's a concept around wanting to provide the highest value and standard for your patients. Um, it's not the most, it's not the highest per se profit margin style practice, but you are catering towards um, a different type of individual. A type of individual in a high-end boutique practice doesn't necessarily make their decisions based on what an insurance will cover. It's based on value. It's based on the customer experience. It's based on the results that the doctor gets. It's based on how well the staff integrates and communicates as well as the doctor with the patient. Um, it's high end. It's not plastic chairs in the waiting room. Um, it's not it's not a cheap process, but it's a process that I think a lot of doctors don't pay enough attention to. And many times we wonder in the profession why it's difficult to command a higher fee, or we want to fit in like everybody else. That's a big problem. A lot of our consulting over the years, starting way back when I left chiropractic college, was always talked about being a high volume practice, right? You're going to make it up, serve the masses, right? Do that through treating a lot of volume of people. What I find is a lot of doctors are burnt out through that method. They get tired eventually. A lot of doctors 15, 20, 25 years in the game don't want to continue at that pace. And honestly, in a lot of ways, they haven't raised their standards and they've adapted to what other people are telling them and what other people are doing. So they're taking a little bit from each place and they're kind of trying to formulate their own system. And in some cases it works, but in many cases it fails. And the doctors don't collect the type of revenue that they want to collect, and they get discouraged and they eventually either quit, they sell their practices, or they just continue on in that space and they don't know how to change it. So I had what was called, I believe, as a high-end boutique back practice. It was my fees were typically substantially higher than most doctors. Our customer experience, we put a lot of emphasis on it. I believe we had a very nice office. When people drove up to our practice, they knew that this was not going to be a cheap process, and I wanted it that way. We weren't cheap up front. I didn't have a lowball offer having people come in. I knew that I had to get paid my value. Our upfront fee was $780 to take x-rays in our practice, and it was all cash. There was no insurance. And so I knew if I was going to create that type of scenario and call it a high-end boutique practice, then I better be on my game. I better have every level of my game trained and ready to go at all times. And I feel like we did that. We were able to build a seven-figure a month all cash practice. Just one doctor. I never had multiple associates, which for me it just wasn't a fit. But you could multiply that even higher by having that style of practice and adding multiple doctors. But the concept about the high-end boutique practice, just think of this as a vision and a mission. Many doctors, they go to their grave, and I believe they don't feel like they created what they really wanted to create. And it's not about the profit margins per se. It's about giving people the best care possible. And this concept doesn't fit everybody. It fits those people that really, really appreciate value and have very high standards for their personal life and for their business. And there's a certain amount of pride that comes along with creating something like this, in my opinion. I didn't want to be like everybody else. I didn't want to be mediocre in practice. I wanted to be the best I possibly could. and I wanted to achieve my goals. And one of my goals was to have a really, really nice office that I could change the way the profession was looked at, right? And so that was very important to me. I wanted to make sure that I did everything that I could to put chiropractic in a different light. And there's a lot of badass offices out there. Look, great. They got there's high end practices out there, and then most of the practices are not at the level that they could be. And I think it's partly because they've been chasing a business model that a lot of times is not congruent with them. And they struggle with creating volume, and they struggle with expanding and making the practice the way they want. And so I'm going to encourage you that if you've wanted to create that style of business where you don't need a lot of volume, you can have your system and your processes set up and the results that you're getting are great, so you can charge premium fees and everything matches up. Patients know that if you're charging a ton of money and you've got crappy equipment, a crappy office, and there's no good customer service, and you're charging a lot of money, the values, the congruency, it doesn't match. But if you can level up your staff, your space, your equipment, your the staff, the doctor, if all that stuff can be leveled up at a higher level than anyone else in your community, people are going to talk. People are going to want to experience that. And this is how you attract people in. And you don't have to give low ball offers online. You can set this game up the way you want. It does take some money to initially set up, but you do it over time. Once this game's set up, when you bring people into your office, first of all, they realize it probably won't be cheap, but they can appreciate, many of them can appreciate quality care, and they can appreciate spending money where they're taken very good care of, and it's about them and the results that they're getting there. And so if you struggled with this, if you struggle about making that bigger change in your practice and backing away from some of the volume that's making you tired and burning you out, then I'm going to encourage you to really look at this concept. Welcome to talk to me about it, where your practice is at, what's going on. But do everything you can to raise the image that we have in chiropractic, not only for yourself, but I feel for our profession. But anyhow, I want to just leave you guys with that for now. I'm going to continue talking about it. I'm going to continue spreading this to other doctors in hopes that more people will take notice and start developing these style of practices. Dentists do it, plastic surgeons do it. Why can't chiropractors do it? And I know we did it, and I know other doctors can do it if they have that desire and they have a sense of pride that goes above and beyond the typical norm. So anyhow, I hope you're all well, and I'm going to talk to you soon.